we're at that big moment, and I have a bio to read. And normally I don't read bios, but this bio is very cool, and you probably don't even need an introduction from Brigitte Gabriel, but she is one of the leading terrorism experts in the world, providing information and analysis on the rise of global Islamic terrorism. And that's what it is, folks, global Islamic terrorism. She lectures nationally and internationally about terrorism and current affairs. Her expertise is sought after by world and business leaders alike. She's addressed the United Nations, in fact we were fortunate enough to see her there, the Australian Prime Minister, members of the British Parliament House of Commons, members of the United States Congress, top-ranked Pentagon officials, the Joint Forces Staff College, the U.S. Special Operations Command, the U.S. Asymmetric Warfare Group, the FBI, and many others. In addition, Gabrielle, Brigitte, is a regular guest analyst on Fox News Channel. CNN even has her on. MSNBC, also known as MSLSD, according to Marvel. Various radio stations daily across America, daily. She's always in the air. In the air and on the air. Ms. Gabriel is the founder and chairman of Act for America. This is the largest national grassroots organization, grassroots security organization in the United States with over 1 million members nationwide. EPUB, dedicated to preserving national security and promoting Western values. That is Brigitte. She's a celebrated author of 3 New York Times bestsellers. And it's hard for people like her to make the bestsellers. Anyway, her latest book is Rise in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedom. And under my chair are the 8 books that I bought to give as gifts. I know 2 people won't be happy together, but that's just too bad. Everybody else will be thrilled. Brigitte was knighted. We call her Lady Brigitte Gabriel. She was knighted in Europe in 2016 by the Knights of Malta for her international work on fighting terrorism and standing up for Western Judeo-Christian values. How nice. She joins a long list of knights, including former Presidents Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Nelson Mandela, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, Henry Kissinger, and others. Of course, I always think of Jackie Mason when I think of Henry Kissinger. Ms. Gabriel is named one of the top 50 most prominent speakers in America. She speaks Arabic, French, English, and Hebrew. So here's what I'd like to do. Indulge me before we bring her out. I'd like this side of the room to stand up, patriots, and give a standing ovation to this side of the room for coming tonight.
You know, people ask me all the time, Brigitte, don't you get tired? Don't you get depressed talking about national security and radical Islam and always traveling? And I tell them, of course it's tiring, and of course I get depressed from time to time. But what keeps me so energized is when I travel our amazing nation and I meet patriots like you who take the time out of their busy schedule to come here. Thank you so very much. We are starting a little late, and I apologize. Who would have thunk it? We're going to have a PG golf tournament right here, and I apologize for the people who are just tuning in on social media. We are live on our social media right now. We have about 800,000 followers on social media. We found out that all the golf players are staying in this hotel, as well as the media, and also the hotel told all the people who are attending the PG tournament to park here in the parking lot, and they're bussing them. And that's why you all could not get into the parking lot and get parking spots. So we actually still have people trickling in. But no, seriously, this is the most amazing part of my job. I love what I do because I get to meet the most amazing, patriotic citizens across our country who share my love of America and who are here because they want to make a difference. I know you could have been doing a million other things tonight, yet you chose to come here to be with us. And for that, I am so grateful for you for taking the time to being here. You know, people tell me all the time, Brigitte, where does this passion come from? You're always so passionate. You always speak with such fire. And I tell them my passion was etched when I was in Lebanon as a child. You see, terrorism affected my life personally. For those of you who do not know my background, allow me to share with you a little story about who I am and what triggered this passion in me. Because I know a lot of the people here do not know my background, and certainly a lot of the people who are now watching us live on social media do not know that. You see, my 9/11 happened to be in Lebanon in 1975, when radical Islamists blew up my home, bringing it down, burying me under the rubble wounded. I ended up in a hospital for 2.5 months. And as I laid in a hospital bed, hooked up to IVs in both arms, I would ask my father, why did they do this to us? And my father would tell me, they hate us because they consider us infidels and they want to kill us. So I learned since I was a 10-year-old little girl that I am wanted dead simply because I was born into the Christian faith and lived in a Christian town. Whether I practiced my religion or not, it was irrelevant in my enemy's eyes. We ended up leaving the hospital and coming back home. But my home was no longer the home I left. I ended up living in a bomb shelter underground in an 8x10 room without water, without electricity, and very little food. To get some food, we would crawl out under the bombs, and we would dig out dandelions and different greenery that grew around our bomb shelter because it was the only greenery we had to eat. To get some water, we would crawl in a ditch under snipers' bullets to a nearby spring. And every time before we left our bomb shelter, we would say our last goodbyes because we did not know if we're going to come back alive or dead, just to get a drink of water. Because we were surrounded by Islamic snipers shooting at us. And I remember when we would get to the spring, my mother had to use her stocking on top of the gallon of water to catch all the rocks and all the dirt and all the junk so we could drink the water. And this became my existence. We lived in the mountains in Lebanon. And in the winter it was very cold and we didn't have any electricity. And my father would go out and break twigs from the trees around our bomb shelter and would bring them in. And he will pour kerosene or benzene or mazout on twigs and light a fire so we can warm up. And many nights we would huddle around the fire, and many nights we would fall asleep. And we didn't have any ventilation. We had one entry door into our bomb shelter. And we had an agreement that whoever woke up first would drag the other two outside and slap them on the face to wake up. Because many nights we would pass out because of carbon monoxide poisoning. And this became my life. And so I went from living in a country that used to be known as Paris of the Middle East, the banking capital of the Middle East, a country that was so multicultural and diverse and had open borders and welcomed everybody into the country because we wanted to share with them with the westernization we had created in the heart of Lebanon, in the heart of the Middle East. All that changed. And we ended up living in a bomb shelter because we refused to read the writing on the wall. You know, people ask me all the time, who should we believe, Brigitte? I tell them, believe those who say they want to kill you because they usually follow through. I remember we were in the bomb shelter for 3 years. I remember when we first walked into the bomb shelter, my father would say, all the Christian nations in the world are going to wake up and see the persecution that's happening to the Christians of Lebanon. And they're going to come help us, and they're going to come save us. Australia is going to come. Britain is going to come. France is going to come. America's going to come. Canada's going to come. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited. And nobody came, and nobody cared. And I remember 3 years into our ordeals, we knew the world forgot about us. It was only our Christian militias trying to protect us and keep us alive. I remember at the age of 13, one of our friends stopped by, one of our militia guys, and he said, Brigitte, we heard a lot of chatter on the radio. And he said, we believe we're going to be attacked tonight. And he said, if I don't see you tomorrow, I wish you a merciful death. And he gave me a hug and he left. And I remember putting on my Easter dress, my Sunday best, because I wanted to look pretty when I am dead, knowing that when they come to slaughter me, there would be no one to bury me. And I remember sobbing, begging my mother, I don't want to die. I'm only 13 years old. I don't want to die. Please do something. And there was nothing my mother could say other than just combing my long black hair tied to my hips and tying a white ribbon in my hair that matched the flowers in my dress. We sat in the corner of our bomb shelter, and my father started praying from the Bible. I shall walk into the valley of death and fear no evil, for thou art with me. And my parents said to me, when they come to slaughter us tonight, we will create a distraction. We just want you to run towards Israel and don't look back. You see, we lived 5 kilometers from the Israeli border. And we knew if we run to the Jews and beg for help, the Jews are not going to slaughter us because we had more shared values with them than we had with the Muslims. Thank God I did not have to make that decision that night. Because that's the night when Israel came physically into Lebanon and set up artillery bases around our town to keep the Islamists away from our town. And this is how we ended up surviving for another 5 years until 1982 when Israel invaded Lebanon. And the only reason Israel came into Lebanon, invaded Lebanon, is because they were working with the Christians in Lebanon, trying to help the Christians take back their democracy and kick out the radical Islamic element that had taken control of the country at that time. And that's how we came out of the bomb shelter and back to rebuilding our lives. By the time that happened, I had been living in that bomb shelter from the age of 10 till the age of 17. 7 years robbed of my youth. In 1984, I ended up moving to Israel and working in Israel as a journalist. And I became news anchor for World News in the Middle East from 1984 till 1989, covering world events. And that's when we started seeing a true rise of Islamic terrorism around the globe from 1985 to 1989. And as I reported on world events night after night, I started realizing that there was a pattern developing. Because no matter where the terrorist attack took place on different continents across the globe, there was a pattern. The name of the perpetrators were always Islamic. Ahmed, Muhammad, Hussein, Ali. The name of the victims were always Westerners, Christians and Jews. Terry Waite, Terry Anderson, Colonel Higgins, the Akili Lauer, the TWA flights, the Panam flights, and I can go on and on. As a matter of fact, for those of you who read my first book, Because They Hate, I have pages upon pages listing all the terrorist attacks against America and the West, where America hit the snooze button and went back to sleep. We ignored the problem. How many of you have read my first book, Because They Hate? Raise your hand. Some. Okay, so that's why I'm repeating my story to you, because I know a lot of you do not know my background. And so I started realizing that there was a pattern. And I really quickly learned that what I used to think was a regional problem between a majority Islamic radical Middle East trying to either kill or expel the minority Christians and Jews had become a worldwide problem. But the world was not connecting the dots. The world lacked imagination. And isn't this exactly what the 9/11 Commission report said to us? We lacked imagination. It's not that we did not know that Islamic terrorists want to attack the United States of America. After all, we have never been faced with an enemy that tells us exactly how much they hate us, why they hate us, what they want to do to us. They not only say that to us, they issue press releases about it, they issue video press releases about it and send it to Al Jazeera to air worldwide. They put it up on the internet. They tell us exactly what they want to do to us. But we continue burying our head in the sand, pretending that the problem did not exist. We lack imagination. The terrorists threatened to attack the United States and attacked the United States since 1993, the first attacks on the World Trade Center. Remember that? 1993. We had a Democratic president at that time. They attacked the World Trade Center the first time in 1993. They attacked the Kubar Towers in 1995. They attacked our embassies in Kenya and Tanzania in 1997. They attacked the USS Cole in 2000. And then they were so confident that we were so asleep and so apathetic that they came back and re-attacked the United States the second time, this time bringing the World Trade Center down, attacking the Pentagon, and killing almost 3,000 Americans on that day. We lacked imagination. This is why I am so passionate speaking about the national security issue. I came to the United States after working in Jerusalem. I met an American war correspondent in Jerusalem, and we got married in Jerusalem, and I ended up coming to the United States by marriage in 1989. I had a child on my arm, and then I got pregnant with my second child in the United States. And I thought I left all the crazies behind. I thought I'm coming to America, I'm going to build a great life, I'm going to live the American dream. It was always my dream to come to the United States. And this is why I'm a very passionate legal immigrant, which immigration is something I'm going to talk about. I came to the United States and I thought I left everything behind me. I started a television production company, and coming from a media background, and I started working, and we had some of the top clients as clients. We had ABC News, NBC, CBS, the Oprah Show was our client, Dr. Phil was our client, Inside Edition was our client. I was living the American dream, working 6 months out of the year and playing with my 2 children the rest of the remainder of the year, the other 6 months, enjoying the perks of the entertainment industry. But September 11th changed all that. September 11th reminded me that what I left behind has now come to the United States. September 11th was a defining moment for the United States. It was also a defining moment for me personally. September 11th changed the way we live, changed the way we travel, changed the way we think, changed the way we live across the world. It changed the world. We all did the same thing on 9/11. We all cried. We all were depressed. We all were glued to our TV screens if we had a TV in the room watching what was happening. We were frustrated. We were sad. We were devastated. We could not believe that somebody could hate us so much that they would hijack airliners and use them as human missiles, flying them into skyscrapers. But they did. September 11th was a defining moment for me personally. You see, my daughters came home from school that day, and they didn't tell them at school what had happened. And I was watching the images of the World Trade Center tumble again and again and again, being replayed over and over and over on that day. And my youngest daughter looked at me and she said, "Mommy, why did they do this to us?" And I found myself looking into my daughter's eyes and repeating to her exactly what my father said to me. They hate us because they consider us infidels and they want to kill us. Here we were 2 generations apart. I was a young Lebanese girl, she's a young American girl. I spoke Arabic, she spoke English. 8,000 miles apart, 2 continents apart, 30 years apart. And I had to repeat to my daughter the exact same words my father said to me. That day was my defining moment. That's the day I vowed that I will do everything I can to make sure that my daughter will never ever look into her child's eyes and repeat to him or to her what my daddy said to me and what I had to say to her. That day, I was reborn as an activist. Tuesday morning. I was debilitated. I laid on my family room couch from Tuesday till Sunday, just in my PJs, watching the TV screens, reliving the agony that I had to live through, hearing my parents scream my name as they were trying to find me pinned under a wall in the rubble, bleeding, wounded. As I yelled and they couldn't even hear me. I could smell the smoke. I was even tasting my blood, thinking it's water. I couldn't feel what was dripping into my face. I was reliving all those horrible memories when I was watching television. And I said, what can I do for my country? How can I make a difference? You see, I was very fortunate to realize my purpose, my destiny, very young in life. Most people go through their whole life not realizing their purpose. I realized that week what my purpose was. I realized that no matter what we go through, no matter what trials and tribulation we go through in life, every single one of us is prepared to make a difference, to bring about change, because I believe we are instruments of change in our communities and in our countries. And that's when I decided I'm going to start an organization, and I'm going to mobilize Americans to understand the threat to our national security. And I'm going to speak and I'm going to educate. And I started speaking and I started educating. And I would speak to groups as small as 8 people meeting at Frankie's Ribs in Pungo, Virginia at 7 a.m. in the morning. The average age was 80 years old. Every other word was, huh? That's why I got mad. And I would speak to groups as small as 8 people meeting at Frankie's Ribs in Pungo, Virginia at 7 a.m. in the morning. Who meets at 7 a.m. in the morning? To groups as big as 10,000 people sitting in one room at some of those mega churches. And one question kept coming up. Now that I'm educated, what can I do? Give me something to do. And no matter where I spoke, no matter what state, what city, across the country, that one question kept coming up. And I learned very quickly, we can educate until the cows come home. Nothing is going to change. We are not lacking education. You type in right now the word Antifa, the word Islam, the word whatever you want, and you get 60,000 pages. We are not lacking education. We are lacking what to do with the education, the knowledge. And I learned very quickly, while education is important, education by itself is not sufficient. Education must be coupled with action. And that's when I launched Act for America, our lobbying arm, our chapter arm. So now we have an educational foundation, a 501c3, we can educate. And then we have a 501c4 arm where we can lobby and impact legislation and educate elected officials and work with them to secure the nation on national security issues. And I'm proud to tell you that Act for America today is the largest national security grassroots organization in the country with over 1 million members. We have helped pass 103 bills on the federal level and the state level to protect the country. To be speaking here at our chapter event tonight with Murray Zier and Ken Greenberg. Stand up and be because we are focused with this camera, that's why we are here. So, can I move around, Thomas, or I need to stand here because of the camera with the Facebook? I'll stand. I'm very animated, you know. All right. All right, you know, I may be 5 feet tall, but I've got a 6'7" voice. So, we started our chapters nationwide, and we started our activism nationwide, because this is exactly how you change the nation. So here I am today, speaking to you about national security. A lot of you remember us when we started as focused on radical Islamic terrorism, because in 2001, when ACT was launched, the biggest threat to the United States was radical Islamic terrorism. Antifa did not exist. MS-13 gang members were not roaming our streets the way they are roaming today. Black Lives Matter did not exist. Today, the situation is completely different. And as the largest national security organization in the country, we focus to protecting America and Americans from all threats, foreign and domestic. And we believe Antifa is a domestic terrorist group, and that's exactly why we are there. And that's exactly why we're working with Congress on designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist group. I am here, and this is exactly why we work for stronger military, strong missile defense. We've been working on the missile defense issue since 2010. But if you hear CARE talk about us, the Council on American-Islamic Relations, you would think that the only thing we talk about is radical Islamic terrorism. But Afro-America has been at the forefront of working on many different things to secure the country, such as EMP, the electromagnetic pulse legislation, and the commission we are a part. I was speaking on the board of the EMP Commission back in 2010 when our Congress held a conference in Niagara Falls to discuss how we can protect the country and the electric grid. The missile defense, we have been on the forefront of talking about that. And now immigration. Immigration became an important issue because of who is coming through our borders and into our country. And this is something that I'm very passionate about, because before I get talking about immigration, as you all know, I am a legal immigrant to the United States. And people like us, like me, who are a legal immigrant to the United States, are more on fire to protect the country than those of you who were born in the United States, because you never experienced what it's like to live under tyranny. You never experienced what it's like to live under dictatorship. You never experienced people knocking on your door in the middle of the night and taking you in secret where your family will never know what has become of you. But those of us who fled tyranny, who crossed oceans to come here, understand the value of the United States, the greatness of the United States, the exceptionalism of the United States, and that's exactly why we are on fire to protect America and secure that border, build the wall 6 feet tall. And I'll tell you, when I came to the United States, I came to America, I had to take blood works and visit doctors and be poked with needles to make sure that I'm not bringing any diseases and any leprosy and any skin diseases. And I had the honor of paying for all that out of my own pocket, and I hated needles. And I'm a young mother with my husband and a young baby and pregnant, but I had to pay for all of that stuff, and I gladly did it because that was the price to earn the privilege of becoming an American citizen. I had to pay my lawyers to do my papers the right way, and then I had to study a 2-inch thick book written by the daughters of the American Revolution about America's history, our Constitution, our judicial system, and everything about America. And I had to pass an exam, a written exam as well as a verbal exam in English in order for me to become an American citizen. The type of legal immigrant that America needs to bring to the United States. So when people call other people, oh, you were racist because you do not want open borders and you don't have a heart feeling for the little kids coming into our country, and this, that, and the other. Immigrants like me detest criminals who law to come into our country. Because we earned it the hard way to be an American citizen. When you work hard for something, you value it. You cherish it. You want to protect it. It's your treasure. You touch it with kid gloves. You want to make sure it's taken care of. You want to make sure it stays shiny and clean and brand new. That's how we look at America. When we come to America the legal way, we look at America as a prize. We want to show it off. We want to preserve it. It's like when you buy a new vase into your home. You treat that thing like a treasure. You don't want dust to get on it. That's how we look at the United States of America. We look at America with stars in our eyes because as far as we are concerned, we believe we have reached nirvana. This is God's gift to the universe. God made America and broke the law. And this is exactly why everyone in the world, even those who hate us, are doing everything they can to get here. And they will get here with the shirt on their back if they can. Because we are the best country in the world, despite whatever the radical leftists are telling us about. And we are not a perfect nation. You know, everybody says, oh my gosh, you know, we're not a perfect nation. We have our shortcomings. America's not perfect, but you know what? Last time I checked, we were more perfect than 99% of the world. And I have a message for those who hate America, who despise America, who speak ill about America, who see nothing good in America. If you hate America so much, we'll give you a one-way ticket to get the hell out of here. Is the official language. Isn't it so frustrating? You go somewhere, you're speaking to somebody who's been in the country for 25 years, you still cannot understand their English? Can you please tell me why? I learned English sitting in a bomb shelter. You know, people ask me, how did you learn English? Okay, so we didn't go to school for 2 years because of the bombing. We lived in the bomb shelter. And finally, my father figured out a way how to operate a black and white television on a car battery. So the car battery would operate the TV so he can watch the news. And if there was, after the news was over, I would watch The Love Boat on Wednesday night and Dallas on Friday night. And I would write subtitles on my arm with an ink pen because I was so determined that one day I'm going to come to heaven, to paradise, the United States of America. But in order for me to get there, I had to learn English. So I would write it with subtitles. I would write the subtitles on my arm. So if two people looked into each other's face and one asked the question and the lady said, maybe, and you know, maybe meant whatever they wrote in Arabic. So I would sound it, I would write it as it sounded on my arm. And because we barely had water to drink, let alone shower, I built a huge vocabulary on my arm. That's how I learned English. I never studied English at school. French is my second official language that I studied at school. And it was very easy to learn English once you learn French. But when you know how they say, do unto, when you are in Rome, do what the Romans, what the Romans, what is that thing? I'm thinking of another verse. Do what the Romans do. So I expect people who immigrate to our country to assimilate, number one, speak English, number two, work hard and produce, number three, and become a productive and loyal citizen of the United States. I'm sick and tired when I hear people say, I'm an African American, and I'm a Mexican American, and I'm an Italian American, and I'm a this American and that American. I'm a nothing but an American. Lebanese food. I roll grape leaves, I make baklava, and I even belly dance for exercise. That's my belly exercise routine, belly dancing video. I take the best out of my culture, but I bring the best of my culture and I merge it with the greatness of America. So I can teach my children the wonderful things about the culture I left while we are living in the land of the dreams. And if our countries were so hot for those who complain about, oh my God, they want to know their whatever Lebanese heritage and Chinese heritage, you know what? If our countries were so hot, we wouldn't be living here. We are here for a reason. So why am I passionate about immigration? Because not only we are awarding criminals who break the law to come here, but we are also allowing our enemies to sneak into our border to destroy our country. You take, for example, and I'm going to focus on immigration right now, who is coming through the border. And since I'm speaking on Long Island, I'm going to specifically focus on the MS-13 gang. Because on Long Island alone, there are 600 MS-13 gang members roaming your streets. Why? Because when they come into the country, the MS-13 gang members, they're not staying in New Mexico, in Texas, in California, or in those border states. They are coming and going all over the country. And they are going especially to communities where they have a large concentration of people from El Salvador, Salvadorians, because they speak the language. So they come in and blend in. And this is how they end up in Long Island because there's a big community on Long Island. As a matter of fact, by 2005, we have seen a major increase of MS-13 gang members on Long Island specifically, and the majority of that increase came because of the unaccompanied minors through the border. So these unaccompanied minors coming through the border were actually to have now drug cartels paying the parents to bring the child, because now if you bring the child, you can come in as a family into the country. So you have parents paying, you have drug cartels paying the parents $130 to sell their child. Then the same drug cartel is paying somebody to fake a birth certificates another $130. So you've got the drug cartel bringing a fake child sold by the parents for $130, buying a birth certificate for another $130, and bringing that child or that youth with them into the United States. And remember, we consider children, anybody under 16 years old, 16 years old is considered a child, and families coming in. So they are coming in and they're going directly into these communities. They are the new recruits of the MS-13 gang members in Long Island and across the country. This is why, even though they have arrested a lot of them, I think almost 200 in Long Island, right now they have been refurbished by the newcomers through the MS-13, through the Mexican border illegally into the country. So how are they operating here? Who are they? They work in your communities. MS-13 gang members have to make money. So they're working in the communities during the day in low minimum wage paying jobs. So they are working as dishwashers, they are working in restaurants, they are working at car washers, they are working as salad makers. So these are their jobs during the day for 8 hours. At night, they are doing the gang activities in order to earn their keep and earn the right to become a member of the community. And that's when they go on a killing spree. Who do they target? Anybody who is against the MS-13 gang members, who speak against the MS-13 gang members and argues with them. Their favorite weapon is a machete, because you don't have to get a license to buy it. It is cheap, you can buy it from any hardwood store, and it is the most vicious killer you can kill with. It's barbaric. And MS-13 gang members, their goal is to kill and butcher. This is how they earn their name, and this is how they earn their status. These are not people coming here because, oh, they killed somebody because they need money, because they don't have money to buy a hamburger at McDonald's because they're starving. These are barbarians. The last crime I read about was in Maryland, where they killed a man walking home from work. They stabbed him 100 times, slit his chest open, took his heart out, and then slit his throat. This is killing for entertainment. This is not killing because you're starving and you want to steal $5 to to buy a hamburger and you killed by accident. 600 of them are roaming Long Island right now. This is why you have a reason to be concerned. And not only in Long Island, they are nationwide. In the United States right now, we estimate there are 10,000 MS-13 gang members roaming in 40 states. 40 states. That's what Act for America works on. That's what Act for America, why Act for America is working with the President of the United States, is working with the administration on the immigration proposal, on immigration policy. We sit around the table and we are involved in the discussion as to what's coming and what's going to be presented. And we will help this president protect our country.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the threat is not only from Islamic radicals right now. They are still operating within our communities. Look at the compound that they just found in Alabama, the same compound, the type thing that they found in New Mexico. Just because we don't hear about it every day right now because the country is busy with what's happening at the border, what's happening with immigration, and can you believe all the attacks against President Trump? I do not know how the president sleeps at night. I mean, I do not know how he gets things done. But we have many things distracting the country. That's why you're not hearing much about radical Islamic terrorism. But they are here and they are operating within our communities. And that's exactly why we are working with President Trump on designating the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. What's that? Care. Well, you know, care is the biggest obstacle in getting things done because of the power that they received and grew under President Obama. And so care, as a front of the Muslim Brotherhood, as one of the fronts of the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States, you know, the Muslim Brotherhood wrote a plan, a 100-year plan for radical Islam to infiltrate and dominate the West. And in the plan, they wrote the plan for the United States in 1991 on how to destroy America from within and establish an Islamic government on earth. In the last page of the plan, they wrote 29 front Islamic organizations set up in the United States for the sole purpose of destroying the United States and sabotaging it from within. ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America, which used to be very cozy, and advisors to President Obama about Middle East policy, were #1 on the list. The MSA, the Muslim Student Association, are #2 on the list. The Muslim Student Association has more chapters on American college campuses than the Democrats and the Republicans combined. Wow. And you wonder how we are losing our universities. What is so worrying right now is what we are seeing, that the radical leftists and the Islamists are coming together and working together as one. In my book, Rise, in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedom, which will be available later this evening on the outside for a book signing, I have a whole chapter titled The Leftist Islamist Coalition. So what we're seeing right now is the leftists and the Islamists are coming together working against America. Literally, against America and everything we stand for. So that's what we are working against. And that's exactly why it is time for us to understand why we need to mobilize, why we need to organize. You see, a war has been declared on our country. We are at war, and we are not at war with Al-Qaeda and ISIS only. We are at war within our country from the leftists and the Islamists who are trying to sabotage the country. Our people don't recognize we are at war. The conservatives still think we can sit and we can talk around, and if they just understand how nice we are, they'll be able to see it our way. See, this is how we think, and we have meetings, and we bring in speakers, and speakers speak, and everybody feels so good. They tap themselves in the back, and they go home and they think, oh, we had a great meeting, what speaker can we bring next month? That's what the conservatives do. Let me tell you what the left does. The left is at war with the United States. They are at war with us. If you are a veteran respecting, a flag honoring, a believer in strong military and strong defense, if you believe in strong and cultural identity where we need to close down our border, enforce our culture, our superior culture, and it is superior. Societies are not created equal. Do not tell me that our society is on the same level as Cuba, as Venezuela, as Syria, as Libya. We are not. We are a superior nation to those nations. The left has declared war on us. The left is out to win. They're not holding meetings like this. Do you think they're holding meetings like this, inviting speakers? No. They're holding group meetings in their home. And how many of you have heard of the group Indivisible? Raise your hand. Indivisible. So here I am in a room with 350 people. Who knows Indivisible? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 350 people have heard of Indivisible. Indivisible is the grassroots army of the left. They have almost 6,000 groups nationwide. Their goal is to change America and transform it into a socialist country. They despise Trump. If you go to your home right now and enter Indivisible and your zip code, you will see how many Indivisible groups are meeting in your neighborhood. They get together at Starbucks. They get together in their homes as a group. They sit together and say, okay, who can we target? What city council member do we need to get rid of so we can get people to vote him or her out? What elected official we're going to destroy? What person we're going to character assassinate so we can get rid of them and make them nuclear? That's how they work. So while we're holding meetings and thinking about what speaker we're going to bring next, that's what they're doing, activism. And that's exactly why Act for America changed our model. We used to have 1,000 chapters nationwide. 2 years ago, after the election of President Trump in 2016, we started changing it to activism because we knew that's when they started gearing up. So right now, instead of just setting up chapters or whole meetings nationwide, I'm proud to tell you we have 80,000 activists nationwide. So I am here tonight to tell you why activism works. And before I get into the 101 activism, I want to give you also an important example about how immigration is impacting the country. We have Ilhan Omar in Minnesota, who cannot help herself but put her foot in her mouth every single day saying something. And that's exactly why she's in the media all the time. The strategy is working. But how can someone like Ilhan Omar, who hates the United States, with all the Twitter account that she has and all the things that she has been saying, she's a flaring anti-Semite, how could somebody like her get elected?
Because Somali immigration.
My friends. You see with the refugee resettlement, they started bringing refugees, resettling them in different areas of the country.
Socialist state.
But just like MS-13 gang and the people that come through the border, they don't stay in the cities where they come through. They gravitate and go into areas where there's a large concentration of their people in that community. So while the Somali community was being deposited in different communities in the United States as refugees, just like when she came as a refugee, those who were deposited in San Diego, in Tennessee, in different parts of the country, heard that there's a big Somali community in Minnesota. They actually established their little Mogadishu. So when these Somalis that were put in different parts of the country started migrating up to Minnesota, and they migrated enough that they built their own enclave. We literally have little Mogadishu and it's little Somalia in Minnesota. So when you have enough people to vote you in, nothing can vote you out. And that's how we ended up with Ilhan Omar. If you think Ilhan Omar is going to be voted out and somebody in her district will be chosen other than her, you're dreaming. The same thing with Rashida Tlaib in Dearborn-Star, Michigan, Do you see the pattern here? And it's called grassroots organizing. They organized on the local level. They organized in groups. They organized in communities. And so what I'm here to talk to you about is organizing. In my book, Rise, at the end of every chapter, I have a section titled Rise Up and Act, where I give you 3 things you can do under 10 minutes, and you can do them while sipping your cup of coffee in the morning, sitting in front of your computer in your pajamas. That will make a difference for the country. So tonight, I'm not here to just frustrate you and educate you. I'm here to mobilize you. Does this message resonate with you? Raise your hand. I want every single hand raised. Good. This is how we're going to take back our country. We're going to take back our country when every single one of us does a little. Together we accomplish a lot. And since we don't have a Soros and a Saudi Arabia with oil money and sheikhs all over the Middle East pumping money into us, we're going to have to do it on our own. So the first thing I need you to do tonight is, when you get home, I want you to sign up for our action alerts and sign up as an activist. It's free. Let me put that word up front. Doesn't cost you anything. We want to make sure we can reach you when there's an important bill coming down for a vote. And we want you to be able to know about it in time to make a phone call to your elected official and mobilize. So when you get home tonight, go to our website and sign up as an activist. As a matter of fact, we are so good at what we do in mobilizing people that when you get home tonight at 7 p.m., exactly 1 hour ago, we sent you an email. It's in your email inbox waiting for you. You open up that email, you got it already? Click on Become an Activist and join. Now, don't look at your cell phones yet. I'm still talking. I promise you we're almost to the end. We want you to sign up as an activist. We want you to be able to be engaged. Now, we understood real clearly that not everybody has the time to come sit at a chapter meeting and hear a speaker. Some people love doing that, and that's important, that if you have the time to do that, by all means, please do that. But if you don't have the time to do that, or a lot of people don't have the personality where I don't want to be with a big crowd, either work as an activist, be a keyboard activist, or start a small group at your home. Invite 3 of your closest friends for pizza. Actually have everybody bring a dish, so you don't even have to worry about cooking. Start around your breakfast nook at your kitchen table and start talking about what you can do. And we will send you tips, and we will send you information, etc. Make sure you sign up, share our information with everybody on your list. When we send an action alert, forward it to your friends. So, is everybody on page? We need you to sign up as an activist, right? We named the organization Act for America. Not think about America, not wish for America, not hope for America, not pray for America, but act for America. What did we name the organization? Act for America. Okay, I want to hear you louder. What did we name the organization? Act for America. And we have the honor and the privilege, every single one of us, to take action on behalf of the greatest country on the face of the planet, to protect her, to preserve her, to walk in the footsteps of our founding fathers. At least we are not freezing in Valley Forge wondering if our flag is still flying. At least we can do it in our heated 72-degree homes, sitting in our fleece pajamas, getting cozy, drinking our coffee, and taking action for the country. That's the least we can do. We have people who serve on the front line, fighting overseas, fighting for our country, and serving in uniform. And there are those of us who can serve at home in our civilian clothing, making sure the country is protected. It is up to us right now to take action. The number 2 thing I need you to do, what does an organization need other than volunteers and activists? I love you people. I'm talking be shy. I used to be embarrassed to ask about money. Now I have to tell you how shy I used to be. When I started Act for America, when I started Act in 2002, I figured I'm going to travel and I'm going to educate people about how they can protect the country. Remember, I used to own a TV production and advertising agency. Well, what happens after the economy collapsed, after 9/11? People were barely buying gas, putting it in their car, let alone spending money on TV ads and image campaigns. That's the first thing to go. Companies were barely making payroll. Our business came to a shrieking halt. It was so bad that I had to cancel health insurance for our family of 4, so I can finance and launch Act for America. So from 2002 till 2004, my children and I, as well as my husband, did not have health insurance. We didn't get health insurance back until July of 2004. This is how much I was dedicated to the organization. And then I ended up spending, because I didn't know how to ask for money, my kids' college fund to build the organization. By the time my kids got to college, they had to go to community college because I had spent all their college savings. They went to community college for 2 years and then transferred, went to George Mason and went to UVA and graduated. I'm not asking you to give up your kids' college funds. I'm not asking you to cancel your health insurance. I already did the heavy lifting up front. But what I'm asking you to do is something so little. Donate at whatever little part you can do, at whatever little money you can give. I'm a firm believer when everybody does a little, together we can accomplish a lot. And I believe that. We travel like this and we speak nationwide. I am here with 2 of my employees. We paid for our airline ticket to get here, car rental, gas, hotels, meals, except for dinner tonight. Thank you, Maria and Ken. They got me Caesar salad with shrimp. I was starving. I didn't even eat lunch, traveling all day. We come here. We don't charge for anybody to attend our events. We hope that people would stand with us and support us to the point where it covers our expenses and we have money left over in our war chest. So tonight, I'm appealing to your generosity to stand with us, to help us do the work that we do to defend our country. When you came in tonight or on your seat, there was a donation form titled, Save for America Starts With You. On that form, I urge you to stand with us and support our work. You can stand with us as a monthly donor with whatever level a month, $10, $20, $15, $500. I was speaking in Florida just 3 weeks ago, and somebody signed up to become a $500 a month Patriot partner. So I was so grateful. So at whatever level you can, if you stand with us monthly, we would be we greatly appreciate it. This way we can count on what project we can add to the organization and what we can do. You can stand with us at the bottom. Please put in your names. Make sure it is readable so we can read it. Please print. Please make sure you borrow a pen from your neighbor. Get a pen. If you don't have a pen, prick your finger, write it with blood. I don't care how you know that, right? But we have Thomas in the middle. If you don't have a pen, Thomas has pens. Raise your hand. Anybody that needs a pen or a form, raise your hand. See, I developed chutzpah doing this for a while. Don't you just love it? Don't you just love it? Talk about grassroots operations. This is what America is all about. Anybody that needs a pen, raise your hand. You can make a one-time donation. Thomas, back in the back, somebody needs a pen. You can make a one-time donation, and we are grateful for that. But you can also become with us as a Patriot partner, and we would appreciate if you would do that. We have many projects. One of our projects that we love to talk about is Campus Hate Watch. And I'm glad to tell you that under Campus Hate Watch, where we monitor radical professors on college campuses, and we actively work on getting their little tukas fired, we have managed to fire 12 professors nationwide. 12 professors either fired or forced to resign because We realized it's not only important to expose them, you know, so you put their face on a Facebook or on a webpage. That doesn't do anything. We went after the universities with our membership. We would bombard them with phone calls. If that doesn't work, we organize rallies in front of the university. If that doesn't work, we go to the board of trustees. We reach out to the board of trustees who give millions. And I'll give you an example of a university in Florida that we did this. We connected with one of the board of trustees on social media who was very well connected to the 7 top donors to the university, who has their names on buildings. They went to the president and said, we will pull all our millions out unless this professor is forced to resign or fired. That professor resigned within 3 days. That's the type of work Africa does. That's the type of work we do. Right now we're setting up a social media war room. Social media has become the deciding factor in whether you win or lose elections. The left organizes on social media, and we need to organize on social media as well. And that's exactly what Act for America is doing. I'm proud to tell you that we are reaching the youth. We now reach 4 million people a day on our social media. 4 million people a day. And while I'm talking about social media, I want to recognize Jonathan in the back of the room. Walk up here, Jonathan. I want you up on stage. Jonathan is the one who does all our memes on our social media. Do you like our memes on social media? Those great memes? Come on up, Jonathan. Look at the wonderful young faces of Act for America. I've never recognized Jonathan. So Jonathan gets my picture. Is he a young John Travolta lookalike? But he's the sweetest soul, and he is a brilliant social media kid. He does all the memes that you see on social media that are so funny, that get hundreds of thousands of shares and tractions, etc. Thank you, Jonathan, for the work that you do. Speaking about reaching the youth, I have with me Thomas, our grassroots director. Thomas, come on, Thomas. Come. Okay, I have to brag about Thomas. Thomas's birthday is next week. Can I tell them how old you are, Thomas? Sure. You're not a girl, you're not shy. Yeah. He's going to be 27 years old next week. And Thomas is named the top most influential 30 under 30 on conservative politics in the United States. Our grassroots director nationwide. He oversees our whole grassroots operation. This is the face of Act for America, and that's why we need to go after the youth. We need to recruit the youth. We need to work with the youth. We need to mobilize the youth. And that's why we're beefing up our social media operation, and that's why we need your help. Now, for those of you who finished filling this paper where we need your financial support, please raise it up because Thomas is going to pick it up from you. Those who finished filling this paper up, please raise it up and give it to Thomas. And I'm going to take 2 minutes. Those of you who finished writing that, and you don't even need to rip it, you can just hand it all out. Bless your heart. We need to do a better job of cutting this. Those who finished filling this paper up, thank you so much. I want you to know that we carry those on our body. We don't mail them, we don't ship them, we carry them on our briefcase back to our office. We enter your information in our database, and then everything is shredded. Our database is protected in Israel. Nobody can touch it, nobody can get to it. We have 2 different companies handling our database, so when you go on our website, even if our website is hacked, we have a lookalike page that's not even us. It's 2 different companies handling different things. So we have layers of safety. We appreciate your support, and we need your support. We're going to have a book signing at the end, and I would be delighted and honored to shake your hand and thank you in person for attending tonight and sharing this with us, and sharing with us, mobilizing our nation and standing together to defend our nation. I'm not, one more thing, Thomas. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 minutes to wrap this for everybody. Please finish filling this and handing it to Thomas. And at the end, while you're leaving, for some of you who are still filling it up, because I still see you filling up, please make sure grab Thomas, or we will have somebody standing at the back door collecting it from you. Or you can turn it at the book signing table. Okay. Anybody at the book signing table at the end, you can turn those if you are done. And I cannot end my presentation. I cannot end my presentation not only by thanking each and every one of you who showed up tonight, each and every one of you who decided to stand with us and support us tonight, but I would give a special thanks to all our veterans and our military personnel who are here tonight. Please stand up. To please stand up, because I have a message for you, and the rest of you remain sitting. All our veterans and military personnel, please stand up and remain standing. I have a message for you. They are so humble, we have to actually encourage them to stand up. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for building a nation for me where I can come and be all I can be as a citizen. I want to thank you for my freedom of speech, my freedom of expression, my freedom of religion, and every single freedom I have. My freedom is built upon your shoulders and your sacrifice. I want to thank you for every night you slept away from home. I want to thank you for every meal you missed. I want to thank you for every holiday you missed. I want to thank you for every family occasion you missed, serving on the front lines, or serving outside of our country, or serving at whatever port, so we can be with our families and celebrate our holidays and have our barbecues. I thank you for your sacrifice. You are not only my heroes, but you are the heroes of millions of Americans who are unable to stand before you tonight. On their behalf, I thank you. I thank you on behalf of millions of people across the globe who are still living under tyranny, who wish they had a military like you to spread freedom, to treat them with justice. On their behalf, I thank you. They'll never have the opportunity to tell me face to face. I was one of the fortunate ones to be able to make it to America. And I believe I'm standing on holy ground in your presence, thanking you.